Hi, my name is Milica Paranosic.
My name is Brian DuFord.
And we are
Take a Pick.
Brian, how did this project come about?
Well, it all started when I gave you a few simple guitar lessons in the summer. And you had just gotten a guitar or a second guitar. And I said, well, there's no excuse for you not to learn how to play guitar. You've got to learn to play guitar.
Plus COVID, we all needed additional activities.
So I just gave you basically a packet of chords and showed you how to put your fingers down and basically how to do a strum, I guess, with a pick or your thumb. And then I said, as a composer, go ahead and just use these chords and do what comes natural. And I believe I went away to California for a couple weeks and came back. And at the next lesson, you said, I have something to show you. I wrote a song. I was like, oh, okay, fantastic. Sat down and played the song, and it's the first song from the cycle called Bleak. And it was beautiful, and it did use all the chords that we had worked on. And if I remember correctly, now, there might have been a couple mistake chords in there that you liked better than the chord charts I had given you to play. And so I was like...
Disobedient student.
I loved it. It was great. And then I think I began playing with you because I was just inspired to do it, or I was just playing along to help you with the rhythmic stuff. And it began to gel into the tune. It was really kind of a very exciting moment because this piece just began to grow right from that moment. It was great.
And it's interesting to me that we've known each other for a long time, about maybe 10 years.
We've known each other for 10 years, yeah. And
we've known each other through, not really through music. We've met through practicing yoga.
Through yoga. Yeah, we did yoga at the same studio for many, many years with the same teachers.
Yeah.
Right.
And somehow we never ended up working together or collaborating or even performing together in any of the settings, which is kind of interesting and strange a little bit. But I guess the timing just didn't quite happen until it did right now. And what about the text and our contact with the text? How did that happen?
Well, that was you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was you. I should ask you that question.
Maybe.
All right. Well, there you go. So the question.
Rewind.
Rewind. The question is, how did you find the text for Bleak?
Oh. Okay. So my friend Peter Christian Hall, whom I've known for maybe 20 years or something like that, he's written that book a while ago, over 10 years ago. And I was actually involved with the first book release that we kind of co-promoted it together at some point, but that was a long time ago. It was nothing like it, but I still had the book. So as I was writing that first song, I was looking for something to plug into it, and I grabbed Peter's book, which was very timely and appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And it just worked, and we started it that way, and then came the second song.
Yes, the second song, COVID, on top of that. And I was, at that point just thinking we'd write one song. Matter of fact, we were thinking just one song. Right. And I gave you, I worked on new chords with
yeah, we were going to maybe do covers and other things.
Right. We began to think of ideas to play together, but we weren't thinking about writing beyond one song. So we started working on these chords, and once again, something happened with the chord where something new came up, and Melissa goes, is this a chord? Can I play this? And I was like, yeah, sure, you can play it. It's a perfect chord. It's better than the one that I thought of. I was just writing out chord progressions for her to practice, right? And so I was playing it, and she grabbed the book and began to not rap.
Yeah, I like it when you say rap. It's not really a rap, but I like it.
Yeah,
it's like a new rap.
Yeah, rapping to it, just randomly out of the book, in this kind of very, very manic expression, and then she put on a beat from the computer, which I played to, and then everything just started to come together. It was a moment. It was very exciting because it was like there's a second tune. It was a really good tune called COVID, and I remember the moment that people screamed COVID at the same time, and it was just so natural. It was so perfect. So, and right then we knew I think we knew that the book was going to be the thing.
Yeah, the book was going to be the thing, and this was going to be a song cycle. And we also, with these first two songs, we kind of established the range of two very different types of songs. Yeah. One is very kind of mellow and kind of sad and melancholy, and the other one is a little bit aggressive and a little bit sarcastic also.
Yeah.
We never actually analyzed our pieces. So if I
No,
say
but-
something that you don't agree with about
No,
like what our pieces are and what they represent, I don't know. We didn't discuss anything much. We kind of just went into all these things,
Yeah, it's
and
been-
things happened pretty naturally, I would say.
It's been a very organic process, which makes me think about that idea of collaboration, I've been mostly a solo composer my composing career, and I've been a soloist for many years as an instrumentalist. So collaborating on a compositional creative idea together is not something that I'm particularly used to, but this has been a learning experience for me right from day one. So the question I have to ask for you is, how do you see your creativity? I mean, is it when you're writing a piece of music, do you see things, do you see a story going along with the piece, even if it's an abstract piece of music or it doesn't have a narrative?
Always, even if there isn't a narrative that's obvious or linear or written in text or put in the program notes or whatnot, I usually have some type of a story that goes with it inside of me and in my head. And I'm really taking a lot from people that I work with. Like, they really inspire me, and I try to just open up as much as I can and learn as much as I can from the people that I either play with or that I write for or that I write with, anything like that. For me, that was the natural part of the process, but the learning curve was the actual guitar playing. I still actually have, my fingers are sore, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, this is a good next question then. So tell me about the guitar. Do you have a special connection with the instrument that you play?
I do have a special connection with the guitar, who was given to me by Linda Pearson, who is the widow of the late Joseph Pearson, who founded or co-founded with Patrick Hardish, together with Patrick Hardish, Composers Concordance, over 30 years ago. And Composers Concordance is actually the group who is going to produce this concert, this debut of this song cycle of ours this coming Saturday.
Awesome.
But we're doing a more stripped down version of it, which we have a serious plan to fully update and upgrade to a full-blown multimedia piece when it becomes possible.
Right. So this much bigger production of it happened while you were away, or when you had just come back from Serbia, or something like that. All of a sudden, this PDF was dropped into our American Fever Dropbox, and I opened it up, and it was a whole script, including like a diagram of the staging and where the drums would go, and some of the sound effects, and it prompted me to think how wonderfully imaginative your narrative how creative your narrative imagination is. It's like literally can see an entire story folding out of our piece. And you would think that we would just follow the story of the book, but I think that this piece is combining the elements of the book along with currently what's going on, which is really kind of interesting. And I'm going to ask you about this. Tell us about some of the unique evenings that we ended up composing on.
I don't even know which one was not unique. Like, we rehearse on Wednesdays, and just going down the line like backwards following this election.
Well, that was one night.
That was one night. There were debates were also happening on Wednesdays.
Exactly.
Tonight, guess what? There is an impeachment.
Happening. And didn't we have one on Insurrection Day?
Yeah, exactly.
On what was it? The electoral count. College count.
Yes.
Yeah. So our songs have been written, or at least worked on, or improvised, or ideas came up, and our sessions are always surrounded by this thick political atmosphere going on in the country, along with, of course, COVID everywhere.
Yeah, I know, but what's super interesting, because that is also in Peter's book. He also combines heavily, the science, the medicine, the politics, the sociology, the friendship, the relationships, the romance, and all of it also came into our story, and not necessarily just from the books, also from our relationships and our contemporary experiences and what's happening in the world and politics and all of it. So it's like a really strange and very symbiotic synergy of all sorts of elements from today and from 10 years ago when the book was written, or 15, I forget. Like, I think it's almost even over 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about how you feel about collaborating with this guy over here.
I love it!
What does he have? I mean, has he changed you in some ways? Is there an element that he brings to the table that complements what you're doing, or you feel complements what you're doing?
I love working with this guy, Brian, because he is super talented. He's very organized, which I sometimes am not. So he helps me do that.
Stay on point, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Or yeah, exactly. Keep on point. Keep on point. Finish the thought.
Then also what I love about working with him is he's super supportive. I mess up a lot. This is new to me, and I feel completely free to be open, and free to be free, and free to mess up, and free to experiment, and free to be playful, and everything that kind of enters our space. So, and that's not, that sounds like maybe it's the way it should be, and it is the way it should be, but it's not always the case. Like, musicians are judgmental. No. They are, there's a lot of ways that collaborations can go wrong, and this one just didn't. So I really enjoyed everything about it, and also I feel like also in our artistic language, we both have things that the other one maybe does not have, or maybe has not developed or worked on as much. So that is always, I wouldn't start any project if I'm not challenged. And he challenges me a lot. Like, just like I think just last time I was nervous about something, and I asked him not to give me something hard.
And of course I did.
And then he's like, I never give you anything that's not hard. So, and I laughed because I appreciate that. I like that.
No, I give her hard guitar stuff to play. It may not. It's completely different than how I would teach a regular beginner with just some chords and some "This Land Is Your Land" songs and stuff. And we're sliding chords all over the neck, finding really odd voicings for chords because they sound really good and cool and are perfect for the tune. They're really hard to get your fingers around. She's been such a sport with all of it. Okay. And I sometimes will say, well, let me change it for you so it's a little easier. No, I won't hear any of that. I want it to be difficult, and I'm going to master this. And it's great. She's been spot on with working on the tunes, and it's wonderful. But I will add to the
Can I ask you?
Of course you can ask me. You can ask me.
Is there anything that you've gained from this collaboration yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Milica
apart from this interview?
Exactly.
Were you featured?
Okay, so Milica brings to the table, and she's inspiring me to think outside of myself, to think outside of my comfort zone. She says that I'm, relatively, what is it, the word, organized? That's just me and my little safety net, just controlling as much as I can. I'm learning to really let go as a writer and to introduce an edginess to my writing and my collaboration. This is why it's exciting, because I don't know really what's going to happen next. I don't know what's going to turn or what's going to change or what's going to stay or what's going to go. And it keeps me on my toes. I feel that when we do settle on something, we come to the consensus together through trial and error that this doesn't need to be changed. I have a tendency to poke around with things and try to make them right.
I like that you did this.
Right.
I agree.
Right. And
right is just a matter of.
And it's also your
agreeing on it.
Your imagination just runs so quickly. Your ideas come so fast that I sometimes feel like I have to catch up with you. Sometimes. And she's even though she has to practice guitar, I literally have to go back and ingest everything. Like, one of the tunes, it's the last. I won't say the name of the tune because I won't give everything away.
Let's keep a little bit of
it presented me
going.
with so much, it was so different for me that even though I'm not doing anything complex on the guitar, I was stressing out practicing it. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there's only a handful of notes. What am I doing? But it's just the concept was so big. There was just so much going on with the simplest things that it kind of blew my mind. And that was all from her. She's wonderful.
Aww,
yeah. So she gives me all of that, and it's great. Not to mention that I now have a collection of small ducks and plastic rats in my room.
Yeah, so you're going to probably see a lot of, like, even though this show is going to be a toned down somewhat version of it, but you'll still see some of our props and that we're going to reintroduce in a bigger way later. I have a little rat around my neck.
I have my goggles.
And I have my disco pants.
Oh, there's
and
a rat. That's one of our rats.
Our little bucket of picks.
Yeah, picks are. Take
a pic, Brian.
Yeah,
take a pic.
I did take a pic.
And
I have a green one. Picks. Picks have an important part.
They do actually. They have a role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we hope that people can check it out this Saturday, and then we'll just keep everybody posted on what's next with it.
Yeah.
Because this is the first iteration of it, but definitely not the last.
It's the first iteration of it, but it's like we're trying to they keep it from getting too big in the first iteration. It's only the two of us in this concert, so but when we actually get to do the full production, it's going to be crazy. I love it. I can't wait for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, composers, now for this interview.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, composers Concordance, for presenting the show, and Joe for your guitar, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. Goodbye.